As students, we have experienced a level of disillusionment that is beyond anything else that has been felt in the last 20 years. We do not learn for the sake of learning anymore. Rather, we learn for the sake of numbers. College admissions have become increasingly competitive in the last few years. This is because they are more accessible to the general public, which is a net positive. College should be accessible to everyone. Though, with that, a need for prestige amongst high-achieving students has increased as well. This desire for prestige has destroyed a modern-day student's love of learning and their potential to create meaningful connections with their passions. Passion is now seen as something that you can put on a resume, brownie points for college, to see you as a holistic, well-rounded student. Oftentimes, I see students becoming so stressed with the idea of finding a passion that they will just make one up to appeal to top universities and suppress whatever hobbies they may have. And it's unfortunate. We have molded ourselves into everything we think a university wants us to be. And this is not true for all people. I feel most people actually don't feel this way, and maybe feel this way a little bit, but they mostly feel very blessed and fortunate to even go to a college. And I myself carry that mindset, but I've also carried the mindset where I run around and I struggle to find a passion that will appeal to a university because I want to go somewhere that people know. I want to go somewhere where people go, wow, you go to that school? That's a great school. And I feel through social media and generally just media, like films, a lot of people think that the only universities are Ivy League institutions or top 20s, as I guess people who are more online say. And it's not true. We stopped loving learning to get straight A's for classes that we wish we learned more about. We started taking classes for subjects that we really didn't have to take, but because they're hard, you'll take them because it looks good on your resume. And when you inevitably get a terrible score because you never cared about the class or found that it wasn't something you wanted to study, it doesn't reflect well on you, and it's time wasted. I initially wrote a script for this, but I wanted to speak from the heart because I understand the struggle we have. Students from all backgrounds want to succeed, and we're told by schools that we can, because it's holistic. It looks at everything. You don't have to be someone who comes from a private school to get in. But the truth is that even though those admissions are, I guess, somewhat holistic, there's still schools that have about 100 students going into a random Ivy League school because feeders exist. And if you don't know what a feeder is, I'll explain it briefly. A feeder school is often a school that is tied to a certain university through, I'm not sure, just bias or something of the sort, maybe even deals. And they will often accept a certain amount of students or just accept more students than other schools because it has students that are more academically ideal to them. So those students take up quite a bit of space in schools, especially a lot of these prestigious schools. And I think it's worth talking about because these students are obviously not bad people for having those spots. They deserve them. But we shouldn't convince ourselves that the process is fair and that everything's against us, because ultimately it's not the university, it's what you make of the university. You can go to the best school in the country and you can still come out of it with probably the same opportunities as someone else, if not less, because you maybe partied the whole time. You didn't really care about the academics. You just wanted to go there for the name. And now you are basically at ground zero. You don't have really anything. And that's because it's not about numbers. It's not about the name. It's not about any of that. Like I said, it's about you. So, if I were you, and I'm currently a high school junior, so I have not gone through this application process, but I've seen so many disillusioned seniors to where I go, this is worth something to talk about. If I were you, I would love learning. I would love the classes I'm taking. I would stop being so wrapped up in social media. I would put down my phone and I would go, what would I like to do today? What do I like to do? Start writing those things down. Think about them. Do them. Be that straight-A student, but be a straight-A student who likes what they're doing and believes in what they're doing. Because oftentimes, high-achieving students enter this level of burnout that we realize we don't love what we're doing. Maybe we're not doing it for the reasons we thought we were, and maybe this isn't for us. Without time to reflect, this can be something that's delayed for a very long time. Maybe you realize into your third year of college that you don't want to do whatever you're majoring in. And it was just something you did because it looked good. It's not bad to have these realizations, but the more you're in tune with yourself and you understand yourself, the more these things can be prevented. Oh goodness, that was a great word slip. When you prioritize your own needs and what you care about and what you love. And also, I understand, it's not all just about individualism. It's also about your family. So, I understand that family has a huge factor to play into how people go into certain careers. But you also have to be honest with your family, and you have to be honest with yourself about what you love. And sacrifices will be made, but ultimately, you have to find some level of happiness and peace. And I think it's very important to prioritize that. So, prestige or not, doesn't matter. Because prestige is really just something that's been sold to us for so many years at this point. The real prestige and happiness comes from your own hobbies, spending time with your family, spending time with people you love, rather than slaving away for subjects that you might fail because you just didn't have to take them, like I said before. If anyone else feels this way or has had similar experiences, do, tell me about it. I know this is a little rambly and maybe not so informal or unique necessarily, but I don't think a conversation has to be unique for it to be had. Because the point is that we are opening a conversation so other people can go into it. And I think the more people who open the conversation, the more information and sort of, I guess, good vibes can be spread. I'm very tired, so my wording is not very good, but I do wish you all very well, and thank you for listening if you did. Goodbye.